doing over the last maybe five weeks or so now with YouTube is participating in the live stream boot camp. It's specifically for vertical live streams. Now, if you're one of our regular shorts viewers, you'll know that Victor's the one that does 99.9% of the shorts that we do here. I've done a couple, they're never that good, but we wanted to try out some vertical live streaming to go over, some of the stuff that we're doing here, see if we can get some more engagement from you, the viewers, and kind of do some spontaneous stuff. Now, give you a quick update here. Last weekend, I was like deathly ill. I very rarely get sick. I'll get like a cold and whatever, but to the point that I was so sick last week that I was kind of dead. So it's why we haven't had any regular video uploads this week. I only just kind of got back onto my feet on Tuesday. So here we are on Thursday. Only been a couple days. Haven't had a chance to go and get through the backlog. I haven't even filmed the press car that I've been driving over the last little while. So what I want to do here today is do a little demonstration of how we edit our videos. Can I give you an idea of what I'm doing with Final Cut Pro? I'm not an expert. I'm definitely not a professional editor, and I don't know all the tips and tricks when it comes to Final Cut, but I want to show you a little bit about what we're doing here. And if you're, thinking about getting into editing videos and want to know how difficult it is, you can find out some tips and tricks that I've got. So I've just got my little, not even a tripod here, it's a little camera phone stand mount thing. So the idea is I want to be able to show you a little bit about what's going on here. So today I'm editing Victor's video. He drove the Mercedes-Benz CLE 450, and effectively what I do, I'll give you a little behind the scenes here. In my documents folder here, I run everything on a Mac. We've got everything for our PRN videos. So I like to template everything that I can. So at the bottom here, I've got what I've called the PRN test drive template project. When I open that up, it gives me everything that I need from the get-go, because we use the same music for the intro and outro. We have all the same lower thirds for all of the stuff that we do. We have all the transitions. So basically everything's ready to go. And I've broken it down into different folders: A-roll, B-roll, exterior, interior. So what we try to do is put all of the, all of our stand-up stuff, A-roll, all together. And then B-roll, I use like if there's anything special. So Victor's done a couple launches when it comes to the CLE. And then we put all the exterior clips together and interiors. And that way it makes it a little easier for editing. Now, when I'm editing my own stuff, it's quite a bit easier because I know what I'm doing, right? I drove the car, I filmed the car. So when I go to put together the Ford Bronco Sport that I'm driving this week, for me, I don't usually break up interior, exterior, because I'll film. We'll talk about it maybe at the end, but I film everything in an order that makes sense to me. So when we're putting it together, we have 3 different frame rates that we'll use. So for Victor and James, I always do 60 frames per second. I've been shooting recently in 24 frames per second. And then we also have 29.94 because we use different video formats. We use different video devices. Now, I'll give you another little behind the scenes. I'll turn back around so you can see me as I'm talking. But we effectively film everything on iPhone. So the stuff that you see, any stand-up, any B-roll especially, it's all done with iPhone. And what I've been doing recently with the iPhone 17 is switching to 24 frames, and it's phenomenal. It just looks really sharp, but then I don't have to use a stabilizer. So we could talk about that a little bit after if you're interested. But back to the editing here. I'll bring the tripod down just a little bit so you can maybe see kind of what I'm doing on the keyboard as well as I'm doing it. So here's our basic template. This is, again, the 24 frames one. So we have a pre-roll. So if we've got an advertiser, like if we're doing any of our EV content, then we've got something at the beginning. All 3 of our lower thirds are there. And then I've templated up, our regular, lower thirds for the pricing, the vehicle information, the engine specifications, test loop if it's for me, and then add spot there. So it makes it super simple. So when I'm throwing together a video, once everything's filmed, I've gotten all my assets, I just basically drag and drop. And everything's set up here for the easiest. If we've got multiple segments, we typically do all of our exterior stuff. So all of this is like exterior. And then I've got a break here, fades to black, 1 second interval, fades back in. That's for any YouTube ads, right? Got to get paid somehow. We don't ask money from any of our viewers, so the ad revenue that we make off YouTube is effectively the only way we're making money. So then we have interior stuff in the middle, and then another fade to black. Again, that would be an ad spot for YouTube. And then we put our driving segment. Sometimes there's more, so I'll kind of fiddle around with it. But when we go back to what I'm working on for Victor, right, I've already put together all the A-roll shots, all of our stand-up shots, everything's put together. A little trick that I learned recently, because we use some audio filters, is I'll go in, I'll take my compressor, and I have channel equalizer. I used to have to put it in on each clip, and then I found out if you highlight all the clips and drag it onto one, it applies it to all the ones that are highlighted. What I've also found out now is I'll just do one, usually the intro, because we've got some presets that I use for each one. I'll set those presets, set the volume, and then if I copy it and then I believe it's Command Shift Paste. So if I go on here, Command Shift Paste, it'll paste just the attributes of the video. So in this case, volume, effects, channel compressor, and all that. So I can then easily just copy all of those settings over to all of my clips rather than me having to fiddle around and figure out, you know, hey, here's what's going on. And really, it took like a ton of time out of my life doing all that. So it was a little trick that I learned. But then we'll go through here. Now, when it comes to any of the videos, my guys will send a little document going over what they've done. So then that way it makes it a little bit easier. So I won't show it, just, you know, not that there's anything private in there, but I didn't really talk to Victor about what I was going to be doing here. So I just don't want to put his notes on there. But effectively, it explains to me what he's filmed in the order that he wants it to be in, anything that he maybe wants me to change or edit. In this case, there's a clip, I think here in the exterior, where he wants me to bring in a folder or a video clip that I had filmed when I drove the CLE 300 about a year ago. Now, again, another little behind the scenes here. Every single video that we film on test drive gets backed up. Absolutely everything that I do is on a hard drive somewhere. So this is our master list. Every single line here is a different video that I have filmed, all the way from number 2, which is the second line, all the way down to where we are right now, which we are currently at row 383. And that's only because I have run out of hard drive space. So actually, PRN Archive 09 is finished. I need to go buy another backup drive. So that's 837 videos that I have backed up somewhere in this house that I can pull all the footage. So when Victor asks me to put something in for this video from one of my old ones, it just, you know, I take a look here, search CLE. So we're gonna have a couple of things that show up, but there we go. 2050 or 2025 CLE 300. That is on drive 8. So I know that that one is one of the ones I put away. We've also been renovating the house over the last week. So all my stuff is put away. My office here is kind of, you can see the background there. Half of it's painted, half of it's not. So I've been in the process of that. But yeah, so I'll be able to pull any footage. So anytime that we're talking about a previous model that we've done, we want to compare something, it's very easy to be able to do that and pull it up. And I just want to say hi to one of our viewers here. I'm looking at it from down here. Amir, thanks for saying hi. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate you guys watching. So here's the video, right? We're looking at, give you an idea of how much footage we're dealing with. We've got a 26-minute video of what Victor has filmed here. He also has, he's told me that there's like a little driving segment here at the end as we were experimenting with some of the ways that we signed off from the videos. And so it's, maybe like 27 minutes of footage that he's going to ask me to basically cut down to about 13 or 14, depending on all that. And you can see very easily what I like to look for when you're going into the waveforms. And you can see there's not like a lot of pauses, right? So for the most part, each take that Victor's got here is pretty much good to go. I don't have to do a whole lot of editing. So I'll space it together so that the transitions make sense. There's enough space in between, as he's finishing off. So I'll give you a little example. Here's how it would sound with this transition.
Just under 94 grand. To give you guys a bit of background, let's do some backtracking.
So see, there's just enough space in that transition there to ensure that whatever he was saying has finished, but it doesn't linger for too long. I like to make sure when we're editing our videos, there's a good flow. There isn't any real pauses. We're not going too fast either. It's something that people have asked way back, like 5, 6 years ago. They were saying to me, "Hey, can you maybe slow down a little bit when it comes to your speech? You're talking a little too fast." So we do try to ensure that whatever we're presenting is smooth, concise, and the full picture is there. Now, a couple of things that we do differently here on Test Drive. You can see with Victor's clip here, the introduction, it's about a 36-second clip. There's no interruptions, right? He was able to record that 30-second stand-up without interruption. But yeah, it's even though he's standing there, it's a nice background. We do like to put some B-roll. So typically what I'll do is once I've finished editing everything, I'll go look for some of the exterior B-roll and I'll find some shots that kind of complement whatever he's talking about. And I always try to edit so that there's a natural sort of pause in the sentence. So I'll give you an example here.
AMG models, you have the 35, the 43, the 45, the 53, the 55, the 63, and some of them are S models and some of them are SE models.
So if you're just looking at the waveform, might not be able to see it too well on the live stream here, but there's a little bit of a break here when he was going through the model designations. If I wasn't listening to it, I might have started putting B-roll there. But I don't like putting B-roll in the middle of a sentence. I try to do it at the beginning of a sentence. For me, it just makes the video a little bit more pleasant to watch. So in this case, he talks about the models, takes a little bit of a breath there. So I'm gonna drop a piece of B-roll in this section here. And then, I like to try to get I have like a little 180 rule. So if I've taken a clip of the front here, then I'm gonna try to find a clip of the back. So then that way you're getting a 180-degree view of the front and the back. So here's that same clip now with the B-roll on top.
The 53, the 55, the 63, and some of them are S models and some of them are SE models. In such a sport-saturated market, the question I want to ask is whether if Mercedes has lost some of its identity to AMG and whether if you can still get an elevated experience from a non-AMG sports car.
So I'm not as worried about where that sentence ends in relation to where the B-roll ends. So for me, he's still talking, even though the B-roll was there. I might put another clip. So what I like to call sexy B-roll, something like this, like a close-up of a particular piece of the vehicle. I might take a short clip like that and put it in there. So then that way there's a little bit more as he's talking.
On AMG sports car. This is the 2025 Mercedes CLE 450 Cabriolet.
So I like doing that. I like to put a little bit of B-roll because these guys they'll film a whole bunch of it depending on the car. What I always try to stress to both James and Victor, and I think of it myself when I'm filming, is if we've done the car relatively recently, if there isn't a whole lot that you're going over, then make sure that the B-roll matches how much you're talking, right? If you've got a 4-hour video and I have like 2 minutes of B-roll, it's not gonna work. But same thing, if you have a 15-minute video or a 13-minute video, but you've given me like 27 minutes of B-roll, there's too much, right? So anyway, I like to fill it up with things like this, whether I'm talking about the car, again, I still try to get that lower third to show up around when he's talking about it in a natural break in that sentence, just again to give it a nice flow. We do the same thing when it comes to the engine. I always like to put the engine itself, even though in this case, you can see Victor, what he filmed here, he talks about the car and then it cuts right away to the hood being open. Now, I think that, not a very clean looking cut. So I will put the B-roll of the engine on top. So as the viewer's watching, you're seeing him talking about the exterior. Now we're talking power figures. You've got the engine. Oh, now we come back. You might not even realize that he had the hood closed the first time you saw him, and now it's open the second time. So a little bit of magic there. And there's one rule I have. It's been my rule since I started doing this way back in 2015. Actually, this is the 10th anniversary this month of Test Drive. I started filming car content November, like around this time, 2015. Never, ever will you see a jump cut of any sorts. So I don't have any examples here just because I haven't actually started editing Victor's video a whole lot here, but here's an example just because he filmed two separate segments, two separate versions here of the trunk. So he's talking about the trunk and then it cuts. You will never see a cut like this, what they call a jump cut.
Downwards. As expected with
I hate them. Every time I see jump cuts in videos, I hate them. I almost like stop watching the video. Especially when it comes to car content. If you're jumping, jump, 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 it's just annoying. So anytime I've got a cut in the timeline, whether it's it's the same shot, right? You can see the camera hasn't moved, but because Victor filmed, he stopped recording, he started recording again, and he went, like, you will never see a jump cut on test drive, on PRN, any of the content we do, because I will put a piece of B-roll. So in this case, he's talking about the trunk, he's talking about the rear end. So I'll go find a clip that kind of matches whatever he's talking about, something like this. And it doesn't have to be at the beginning of the clip, even though it's usually easier for me as I'm editing it, but I will put it wherever it makes sense logically so that you're watching it, we go to B-roll, and then we come back. I absolutely hate jump cuts. Let me know what you think, but I think they're the worst. It's just, for me, it's just lazy, right? Nobody's perfect. I mean, there are people who are perfect, but nobody's perfect in the sense that you can go up, you can film 20 minutes of content all together without making a mistake or taking a breath or having a sneeze or a cough or whatever. There's things that you got to cut out, right? And in this case, like all of this, I'm going to be cutting it out. I will never ever have a jump cut. It's sloppy because it just shows that either you didn't film any B-roll, or from an aesthetic perspective, like I guess you just don't care. So let me know, what do you think? Are jump cuts something that you look for? Do you hate them? Do you love them? Like, there's probably a time and place for them, just not in the content that we're making. So I'll go through the video. Usually what I do is once I've put together the basic structure of the video, right? So all the segments, they're all put together. I've made sure they're all labeled properly, because then Victor's labeled them already to tell me what each one is, but when I go to put it on YouTube, we chapter these. So anytime we've got a longer video that's got very specific segments, I make the chapters. You'll notice them a lot on Victor's videos, a lot on my videos. I'll always have chapters where they make sense. So I make sure that I've got all those set up, and then that's when I start to go and edit the actual content. So again, just because I didn't talk to Victor first, I'm not going to open up his notes, but I would go through, I would see what he's written. He'll give me an idea for what he wants the title of the video. I think he already gave me the thumbnail. So for example, he's got that already done. I've put that together and got it ready, so it's all good to go. It might be backwards on your screen there, but the idea is still the same. I then will get all of this ready to go and chop it up. So based on whatever notes he's given me or James has given me, I'll go through. I'll also check for myself, if there's any technical issues or anything that was said that might not make sense. I'll be listening for those kind of things too. But basically, I'll go chronologically through the video, get through we got the back seats here, we got the front seats, put it all together. And then usually what I do with Victor's videos is I actually edit the driving segment backwards, just so then I can cut, usually the last take is the good one. So I'll take that and then delete and go through and cut through. Now, when it comes to Victor's video, I believe this one, we might have a multicam. I just want to see. No, it doesn't look like it, which is fine. So he was experimenting last week with 2 different cameras to see how they looked when he was filming them. When I'm filming my content, I have 2 GoPros, one facing me, just like you've got here, and then I usually have another one, it would be off camera here, but usually on the sunroof, facing forward. So you have a little bit of a cockpit view, a little bit of what's going on outside. And I find having 2 views helps in 2 different ways. Number one, if I screw up, I can switch to that other camera. So back to what we were talking about here, when it comes to a jump cut and I don't like them, well, easiest way to avoid a jump cut is if you have one angle as you're talking, you make a mistake, you cut to another angle. The viewer's never going to know that it's an actual cut of whatever you're doing, because the camera's angle has changed, and because the perspectives, you've got one at the front of the car and one at the back, you'll effectively never know, right? So I use that as not like an easy way to be able to hide jump cuts, but it's a way that I can incorporate different camera angles and different sort of perspective of what I'm doing while I'm driving without necessarily relying on B-roll. For example, if you're doing a launch, right, which, a lot of the performance cars, we try to get those in as quickly as we can, want to be able to show off how the cars are. It's nice to have two camera angles because for the first one, you might want to be looking at the driver as they're going, see their reaction, and as they're talking to you, you want to be able to see that. Whereas the second time you're doing a launch, you might want to see it from more or less the driver's perspective, which is where you're going to be using that second camera angle. And it's pretty easy to be able to do with two GoPros or two cameras, whatever you're using. I know James has one GoPro, and then he'll use his iPhone for his iPhone's his main camera here, and then he'll have the GoPro either on the passenger window or sometimes on the roof. So I found that the front facing towards you and then one on the sunroof is the best way to do it. So we'll edit those, go through, like I said, in this case, backwards to the beginning of the driving segment, cut it all together, and then because there's a single camera, in this case, it's going to be mostly B-roll. So again, anytime there's a cut, I'm going to be putting in B-roll. Victor's provided quite a bit of it, so I don't have to worry too much. I never am too worried about overall B-roll numbers. The assets are always pretty good, so I can always go through and grab them. And then same thing, we've got the interior stuff, so I can put it through and make it pretty easy. So it's a pretty straightforward process. And when it comes to exporting, I'm sure there's better ways to do it, but we effectively just set it up for, let me go and get the actual main one here so you can see. We set it up so that it's, I believe it's H.265. 264 still. So if I switch that, I have tried Apple ProRes. It balloons the file says quite a bit. So because both Victor and James are filming in 4K at 60 frames per second, it's effectively a gigabyte per minute. So if your video is, in this case, 26 minutes, we're looking at about a 25 gigabyte file. It's quite a bit. Because I have personally switched down to 24 frames, it gives me a lot more flexibility. And that's what I'm going to show you right now. So when we go into my B-roll folder, actually what we'll do is I'll close out of, you can have multiple projects open, multiple libraries open with Final Cut, but I find it works best if you just got the one. So this is a blank template for me. I haven't filmed any of the B-roll yet. I'm probably going to be going and doing that in maybe the next hour or so, depending on the weather. But what I'll do, since I already know what B-roll I've got, I don't need to separate it. I've got 69 clips here. Typically what I've been doing now that I've upgraded, because up until like a month ago, 6 weeks ago, I was using an iPhone 12 Pro. It was pretty slow. Not a lot of control with the camera and whatnot. Now I'm using the 17 Pro. It gives me a whole lot more control. So with clips like this, I'll see if I can make it a little bit bigger for you. You might be able to see on the video there that the background is blurred. I have used cinematic mode. Now, what I've found now with Final Cut, let's see if I can pull this down. So this is a 24 frame. So if I pull this down here, and I haven't played with it too much, but there actually is a cinematic mode here. Where was it? Unless maybe it's because it is a cinematic clip, you can't play with it. Let me see if I took one that wasn't, because see, it really makes a nice blur in the background, but sometimes it blurs it too much. So I'm just curious if I grabbed one without. Usually my interior stuff is without, so if I put that in, it still doesn't give it. I'm gonna have to play around with it because I did see that the other day. And effectively what it was doing was giving you that blurring effect that you get with Apple Cinematic Mode without actually filming it that way. So here's the trick that I've been doing. Not because I need to save space or because I want to have faster uploads. I've got a 3 gigabit per second internet connection now. It's ridiculously fast. I can upload videos to YouTube in literally minutes. Like Victor's video there, 25 gigabytes, that'll be uploaded in maybe 3-4 minutes. With 24 frames now, the benefit that I'm getting is it looks a little bit more cinematic. Most movies are filmed in 24 frames, but it allows me to film, you're probably not going to be able to see that because it seems to be mirrored, but all of my exterior B-roll is all 24 frames. I film it on a tripod, and I have actually the mount that I'm using to do this is sitting on the tripod, and I can pan, I can tilt, I have a slider, I can slide, everything's nice and smooth. But what I found is my DJI Osmo Mobile 3, which still is a good device, I'm finding it doesn't stabilize that well. So what I've done is when I go onto the inside now, I'm switching to 60 frames per second, and I'm just holding on. I'm hand bombing it. I don't use the stabilizer. I hold my camera like this, and I do a really quick video clip. Because you'll see here, again, you probably can't see because it's backwards, but all of my exterior clips are between like 9 and 13 seconds. I usually trim the beginning and the end of the B-roll clips just because, the movement isn't as stable right when you start. It's right in that sweet spot. The meat and potatoes of the sandwich are where you want. But with the interior clips here, these are like 5 seconds, 7 seconds, 6 seconds. Because what I'm doing then, in order to get you take a 60 frame per second clip, like this one, okay? See, there's a little bit of delay there. So pull it in like this, that's 5 seconds that I'm gonna use. So I've got a 5-second B-roll clip here, but it's the wrong frame rate. I now go into Final Cut. I'll do a custom speed. 40% of 60 frames is 24. So now I've effectively created a 24 frame clip without having to use a stabilizer. And now, again, I know it's backwards, but I want to just show you how smooth this clip is. This is way smoother than it would have been had I used the DJI, because the DJI, the Osmo Mobiles, and it's something I've talked about with the team here, it's like an action camera thing. It's just like a GoPro. It's designed for people who are maybe walking down the street, they're in a busy area, they're running, they're going through a trail. It's more to eliminate the natural movement of movement. It's not designed to be doing interior panning shots of a car, and it doesn't do a very good job. So by me taking a 60 frame per second video and cutting it down to 24 frames, all of that, hand movement, whether it's me breathing or moving or whatever, almost all of that is eliminated because you're slowing down the frame rate, but I'm moving faster. So I find a faster movement is almost smoother, and then by slowing it down, it's crisp. So that's the game plan that I've been doing over the last like 6 weeks or so. I tried filming in 60 frames. I tried doing Apple ProRes. I tried doing HDR10 with Dolby Vision. Like, it's all beautiful and great, and then it takes up like 17 terabytes of hard drive space. So with something like this, my file here, everything goes into Final Cut. We're looking at a very small footprint here. It still says it's only 4.5 gigs. And then even if I just open up the actual B-roll, the B-roll is only 2.64 gigs. You want to see by comparison, and I understand it's more video, there's more clips, but even with James's video here, his inside B-roll for the Palisade, 2.7, right? And then the exterior B-roll is probably the same, 2.4. So it halves the amount of space. So if you're worried maybe about overall hard drive space, especially if you're using Final Cut, because Final Cut is a bit of a pig if you're not filming. Like, if you film everything on your iPhone and you're editing everything in the format that it came off the camera, then it's fine. But as soon as you add in something like a GoPro, it needs to transcode all that footage, it needs to render it, needs to optimize it, and then that, maybe 30, 40 gigabyte file is now literally like 400 or 500 gigabytes of render files. So you can see even with James's video here, it's 55 gigabytes on Final Cut, but the actual raw assets only 25 gigs. So it's still doubled the overall space just because it has to render those files. So if you're somebody who's thinking maybe to start out, doesn't matter what you're doing, whether it's car videos or anything, if you're looking to start editing videos, you're worried about the gear that's involved. I'm telling you, the iPhone is one of the best tools that you can get. And then if you're worried about hard drive space, then consider filming at a lower frame rate. You don't have to do 24. 30 frames is fine. And then it's the same thing if you were to do that with this kind of B-roll, cut it to 50%. 50% of 60 is 30, so you can get, again, smoother footage without having to go and invest in a stabilizer or a steady camera or anything like that. So I found that it has helped immensely with my overall workflow and just file size, because like I mentioned, we're going to be going on to the 10th numbered drive. Each of those drives is like a 2 terabyte drive. A couple of them are 4 terabyte drives. So, and then I've got I think I have 6 or 8 terabytes on a Drobo. So I think I figured that we must have about 20 terabytes of backed up footage that I can pull up. Some of it's easier to pull up than others. The newer stuff is easier because it's all USB-C, but I mean, 20 terabytes of video footage, and it's all locally backed up. So consider that before, I mean, not everybody needs to keep all their stuff, but I prefer keeping all the B-roll and everything that we do, so that for whatever reason, if we needed to use it down the road, I've got it. But yeah, so I'm going to be editing this one later today. As I mentioned, I have to go film the A-roll, but you might hear some of the hammering and stuff going on upstairs. That's some of the renovations that are going on. I'm also an active participant in the renovations, so it's been a lot of work. So that's more or less it. I mean, there's a lot I guess I could go over if I really knew what I was doing. I'm certainly no expert when it comes to Final Cut. Everything that I've learned is just kind of online, whether it's on Reddit, the Final Cut Reddit. It's a pretty good place to be able to go to, or just kind of Googling whatever I need and going and figuring it out as I go. But anyway, so if you joined us a little bit later, I just wanted to mention what I said at the beginning. I was violently ill over the last week, so it's why we haven't had any long format videos come out this week. Plan is that now that I'm back, I have an office again. I've got the space to work. I've got the health to be able to work. I'm going to be doing the rest of the editing this week. I got to film my content on the video or the vehicle that I'm driving. So we will be back into the full swing by next week. So we've still got some shorts coming up. Hey, James, how are you? So still got some shorts that are scheduled, and then all of the content that I've got on my end is slowly going to get it worked on as I just kind of get everything back to normal after a whole mess load of stuff that's been going on over the last week now. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this. This has been quite a bit of fun. This is one of the longest live streams I think we've ever done here on Test Drive. I hope I gave you a little bit of an idea of what to do, and I apologize if the camera was reversed. I don't know. I was thinking to do like a whole OBS setup, but I don't have it installed on my Mac. So what can you do? But anyway, I hope that if you're new here, you haven't checked out any of our videos before, please consider subscribing to the channel. If you're somebody who's only watched our shorts videos and you like that stuff, we do have like 837 long format cars that we have featured over the years, so you can check out all of that footage too. And we're also open to suggestions. So obviously we're coming into the winter months here in Canada. We're going through a fleet transition as a lot of the brands are going to be switching over to 26s. But for the most part, we're going to be getting some stuff throughout the winter and doing winter-based reviews. I know it's supposed to snow here in southwestern Ontario on Monday. I'm not looking forward to that, considering the Bronco Sport that I have, I don't think has winter tires. And then I'm picking up a Hyundai's, whatever it is, the Hyundai Tucson hybrid. It's probably not going to have winter tires either. So we'll be seeing about that. But anyway, thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe. We will try to do more of these. If you want to see more, let us know what you want out of the live stuff that we're doing. And give us some suggestions as well. This works out because I've got the Wi-Fi here and it's not going to cut out. The last 2 streams that I did, they were kind of driving based. They were on the location based. It doesn't really work when there's no reception, but at least here in the house, the Wi-Fi is good. So I will catch you guys later. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Take care.